The General Services Administration, GSA, is an independent agency of the United States government established in 1949 to help manage and support the basic functioning of federal agencies. GSA supplies products and communications for U.S. government offices, provides transportation and office space to federal employees, and develops government-wide cost-minimizing policies and other management tasks. 7. GSA employs about 12,000 federal workers and has an annual operating budget of roughly $20.9 billion. GSA oversees $66 billion of procurement annually. It contributes to the management of about $500 billion in U.S. federal property, divided chiefly among 8,700 owned and leased buildings and a 215,000 vehicle motor pool. Among the real estate assets managed by GSA are the Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center in Washington, D.C., the largest U.S. federal building after the Pentagon, and the Hart-Dole-Inouye Federal Center, which had previously been the Battle Creek Sanitarium run by John Harvey Kellogg. GSA's business lines include the Federal Acquisition Service, FAS, and the Public Buildings Service, PBS, as well as several staff offices including the Office of Government-Wide Policy, the Office of Small Business Utilization, and the Office of Mission Assurance. As part of FAS, GSA's Technology Transformation Services, TTS, helps federal agencies improve delivery of information and services to the public. 8. Key initiatives include the Presidential Innovation Fellows Program, 18F, includes login.gov and cloud.gov, FedRAMP, the UsageOff platform, USA. Gov, Gobierno USA. Gov, Data.gov, and Challenge.gov, the U.S. Web Design System, and IT Modernization Centers of Excellence. GSA is a member of the Procurement G6, an informal group leading the use of framework agreements and e-procurement instruments in public procurement. In 1947, President Harry Truman asked former President Herbert Hoover to lead what became known as the Hoover Commission to make recommendations to reorganize the operations of the federal government. One of the recommendations of the Commission was the establishment of an Office of the General Services. This proposed office would combine the responsibilities of the following organizations. GSA became an independent agency on July 1, 1949, after the passage of the Federal Property and Administrative Services Act. General Jess Larson, Administrator of the War Assets Administration, was named GSA's first administrator. The first job awaiting Administrator Larson and the newly formed GSA was a complete renovation of the White House. The structure had fallen into such a state of disrepair by 1949 that one inspector of the time said the historic structure was standing purely from habit. Larson later explained the nature of the total renovation in depth by saying, "In order to make the White House structurally sound, it was necessary to completely dismantle, and I mean completely dismantle, everything from the White House except the four walls, which were constructed of stone. Everything, except the four walls without a roof, was finally stripped down, and that's where the work started." GSA worked closely with President Truman and First Lady Bess Truman to ensure that the new agency's first major project would be a success. GSA completed the renovation in 1952. 9. In 1960, GSA created the Federal Telecommunications System, a government-wide intercity telephone system. In 1962, the Ad Hoc Committee on Federal Office Space created a new building program to address obsolete office buildings in Washington, D.C., resulting in the construction of many of the offices that now line Independence Avenue. 10. In 1970, the Nixon administration created the Consumer Product Information Coordinating Center, now part of UsageOff. In 1974, the Federal Buildings Fund was initiated, allowing GSA to issue rent bills to federal agencies. In 1972, GSA established the Automated Data and Telecommunications Service, which later became the Office of Information Resources Management. In 1973, GSA created the Office of Federal Management Policy. GSA's Office of Acquisition Policy centralized procurement policy in 1978. GSA was initially responsible for emergency preparedness and stockpiling strategic materials to be used in wartime until these functions were transferred to the newly created Federal Emergency Management Agency in 1979. 10. In 1984, GSA introduced the federal government to the use of charge cards, known as the GMA Smart Pay system. 11. The National Archives and Records Administration was spun off into an independent agency in 1985. The same year, GSA began to provide government-wide policy oversight and guidance for federal real property management as a result of an executive order signed by President Ronald Reagan. 10. In 1986, GSA headquarters, U.S. General Services Administration Building, located at 18th and F Streets, NW, was listed on the National Register of Historic Places, at the time serving as Interior Department offices. 12. In 2003, the Federal Protective Service was moved to the United States Department of Homeland Security. In 2005, GSA reorganized to merge the Federal Supply Service, FSS, and Federal Technology Service, FTS, business lines into the Federal Acquisition Service, FAS. 13. On April 3, 2009, President Barack Obama nominated Martha N. Johnson to serve as GSA Administrator. After a 9-month delay, the United States Senate confirmed her nomination on February 4, 2010. On April 2, 2012, Johnson resigned in the wake of a management deficiency report that detailed improper payments for a 2010 Western Regions training conference put on by the Public Buildings Service in Las Vegas. 14.